All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Urban Gardener. I want to thank you all so much for joining with me here today. And if you haven't already, please get right down below there, hit that subscribe button, follow along with more garden adventures as we continue growing here on The Urban Gardener. In fact, hit the bell notification so you can be notified of our upcoming episodes. Did you know that 2/3 of all of the garlic in the world is grown in China? And the average person eats about 2 pounds of garlic per year. In fact, I probably eat more than 2 pounds a year, but those are a couple of reasons why I grow garlic in my gardens. Plus, it's really good for you. Garlic can help reduce inflammation, blood pressure, cholesterol, and can help support good immune function. So those are also some good reasons for you to grow garlic in your garden. Now, there are a few things that you do need to know about growing garlic before you get started. And once you figure these things out, you will find out how easy garlic is to grow. So the main thing that you need to know about growing garlic is that it needs a long season in order to grow. Sort of like people, we take about 9 months. Garlic is going to take about 9 months to form a really good bulb. But the real important thing to know about that 9 months is that it needs to have a period of vernalization, as it is, or a sort of cold stratification of the seed clove itself. So garlic is started back in the fall so that it has an overwinter period of time where it can go dormant and allow for the seed clove, like I said, to have a vernalization basically, which helps break up the clove, and then it forms those other separate cloves in the larger bulb in the spring up to the summertime as we are right now. So like I said, it's really hot out. It's June, the end of June. We just passed our summer solstice. We just had one of our biggest heat waves, so it's going to be a real relief to go do what I'm about to do right now, because in order to show you how we grow our garlic in our gardens, I'm going to have to go back to the fall and get you guys all started with how we got started. So in order to do that, because it's really hot right now, I'm gonna need to go get a jacket. Oh boy. Now I know what you're all thinking. Who in their right mind would want to come back to the year 2020? I certainly don't, but in order to get our 2021 growing season going and planting out our garlic, this is where we've got to start. So, this year we will be growing two different types of garlic. We've got our soft neck type here and a hard neck type here. Now, both of these two types of garlic look pretty similar, but grow just a little bit differently. Our soft neck variety I got from the organic section of my local supermarket. You'll find mostly soft necks in your local supermarket because they store just a little bit longer than the hard neck types do. Now, I grew this bulb out last season from some bulbs of garlic that was sent to me from viewer Nancy. Now, as you can see, the stem here is a bit flexible in our soft neck variety, and the cloves within the bulb kind of grow in a cluster formation. Whereas with the hard neck variety, it's got a solid stem that grows out of the center, and the cloves grow really uniformly right around that center stem. What we'll do now is we'll break into each of these bulbs here and pick out which ones we'll be using out of our soft neck variety and our hard neck variety. So now as we're getting into this bulb here, you can see the clusters of the different cloves, and they just really grow all over in here. But a lot of your larger cloves are going to be kind of right around the outside of the bulb there. Now, with your hardneck variety, which has its hard stem, which grows out of the center of it, I said your cloves are pretty uniformly around that hard stem. You just kind of break them off. Get some really nice big cloves. And pretty much, like I said, grows right around this hard stem. So we've got our different bulbs all broken up now, and you can kind of see now the difference in how these grew. A hardneck variety, which grew around this solid stem, gave us about 5 really nice sized big cloves of garlic, all of them viable and ready to be planted out in the garden. Now with our soft neck variety, we got about 7 or so decent sized cloves out of it, but because it grew in a cluster like it does, we've got also a bunch of these little tiny cloves as well. Those we will cook in the kitchen, and the others we'll plant out into the garden. So let's get out there and get these all planted out. So all right, we've got one of our spaces here where we've grown out our garlic, as you've seen. But here we are, we've got to actually get it planted out right here in our side bed that we have here, and as well as right here in our back alleyway. And as you can see in both spaces, we've put out a layer of compost before we plant out our cloves, as well as these buckets we've got here. We'll experiment with planting garlic in containers. So all right, we've got our spots all ready for planting out our garlic. We've placed, like I said, a couple of inches of compost all across this part of the garden bed and laid out my garlic cloves there about where I want to space them in this part of the garden. Now all we got to do is get down here and get them all planted out. So all right, what you want to be looking for here is your root end of your garlic and the pointy end. Now the root end is going to go down, the pointy end coming up, and what you want to do is dig into your soil, into your garden bed, good 4 or 5 inches or so. Kind of snug it right down in there with the root end down, pointing end up. Cover it all up. So one last thing here. It is fall and a lot of our trees are shedding their leaves. So we've spread them along our different garlic beds so that we could protect our soil. So all right, finishing up with the fall portion of this garlic growing guide, we are out on our back patio here, and we've just harvested up most everything from the gardens here from our last grow season, and we're getting ready to plant out for this grow season. What I've done here in our 5-gallon water wicking bucket systems, which we grow a lot of different crops in here in our gardens, I've planted out some of our soft neck cloves of garlic in this bucket, and I've put 2 buckets of our hard neck variety. So we're going to get to planting these out here, and just like before with the in-ground, we're going to basically just dig a hole about 4 or 5 inches down there, place them in and cover them up. right, there we go. We've got them all planted out. Now it's time to get out of this jacket and back into the sunny weather. I much prefer it in 2021, summertime. So here we are. It's about mid-spring now. Our garlic has really come to life. Got some really nice green growth on our hardneck variety that we have planted out here. So in our back alleyway here, it looks like all of our garlic that we planted out, again, just like our hardneck variety over there. These are looking really, really great. Big, tall, strong stalks. In fact, I have to say these look better than some of the garlic I've grown in seasons past. So, looking forward to seeing the results of this grow this season. And as well, our water wicking 5-gallon buckets. Garlic is just like in the ground, bursting on up out of these buckets. We've got some really good, tall, strong stalks from our hardneck varieties and also the softneck variety we planted here. Whoa, oh, wow. I totally forgot about how hot it is back here in the summer of 2021. Record-breaking heat. Whoo! But it is that time of year now where we get to finally, after all of these months, get into the ground and dig up our garlic and see how well the bulbs have formed and what we have out of our harvest. So that's what we're gonna do today now. We're gonna get down there, dig these up, and see what we got. Now, as you can see here, our plants are looking pretty browned up. Stalks are actually kind of getting a little weak. And that's after a couple of days of our record heat, as I mentioned. And I was actually going to be harvesting these probably about a week from now. That's what I had on the calendar to do that. But we're going to go ahead and take them out now because after those 215-degree days, they just really kind of dried up there. Now, when you're harvesting your garlic, you do want to let the first few leaves on your garlic dry up and then have a couple of leaves on the top that are still green, but even those leaves on the top are starting to dry up as well too. So let's go ahead and get these out of the ground. Also time to get back here in the back alleyway and harvest our garlic we've got growing back here too. As you can see, it's the same thing. They got a little extra browned out from our really hot temperatures lately. But yeah, let's dig this up and see what we get here too. All in all, in the back alleyway here, we did pretty good. Got some pretty good sized bulbs there. Plenty to give us some really good seed for next year. So alright, now it's time to harvest up our garlic from our 5-gallon water wicking buckets that are on our back patio here. They've been in these buckets just as long as our in-ground garlic, planted at the same time. So you can see similar type of wear on them from the sun and the heat. So they're definitely ready to be coming up out of here now. And I did want to mention too that with the in-ground as well as these bucket ones, I stopped watering or doing anything like that a couple of weeks ago. I also drained any water in the reservoir of these buckets in order to kind of let them dry just a little bit before harvest. Also, we're not going to need our garden fork in order to dig up the bulbs of garlic out of these 5-gallon buckets. We're just going to use a nice simple hand trowel to loosen up the soil around these bulbs, and they should come right up out of there. Let's get started with our soft neck garlic. So all in all, pretty good harvest this year. I wish a few of the bulbs were just a little bit bigger in each of our groupings, but we did get some pretty good sized bulbs as well. Plenty of good ones to choose from for this next year's growing season, as we'll choose the largest cloves out of each of our bulbs to be the seed for next year's growth. So what we want to do now is we're going to take these bulbs and just store them in a nice cool, dry place. And especially you want to keep them out of direct sun. These are just fresh bulbs right out of the ground. They can get burned in direct sun. So you want to keep them out of direct sun. And I've washed these before in seasons before and haven't had any problems. I'm not going to necessarily wash these ones this year, but you could if you wanted to. If you do live in a more humid area, you do want to make sure that they get spread out really well in order to dry and not collect any sort of mold or anything like that on them. But as long as they're going to dry out really quickly, shouldn't be a problem. So alright, what a great trip through time on today's video in order to follow along with the growth process of our garlic grow this year. Started this last fall with our seed garlic cloves and followed them all the way through to this summer. We harvested out our full-size garlic bulbs. It was a pretty good grow this year. We got a pretty good harvest, so I'm pretty happy with what we got. So I hope that you all really enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up. Hit that like button. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything at all, get down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from all of you. And if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and follow along with more of our garden adventures as we keep growing here on the Urban Gardener. In fact, hit that bell notification so you can be notified of our next episode. I'll see all of you on our very next one. Here we go. All right. It's grown in China. And did you also know that I was kind of on a roll there. Our garlic is about ready to start to be. Just right where we were, and that's all it was a door right there. Didn't have my door closed, so I got to do it all over again. that's how bad I am, I swear. It's ridiculous sometimes. It's totally ridiculous sometimes when you're trying to create a video and you got a vision for it, and you just see one little stupid thing in the replay or the outtakes that you're watching, and notice just a door being open and decide to do it all over again. So here we are. All right. Here in the fall, a lot of our leaves are shedding trees. Whoa, 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 whoa. I forgot how hot it was. Whoa, oh, wow, wow. I forgot how hot it was here this summertime. Oh, I looked back. Okay. Right there. Well, there we go. Got our heart. Through time today on this video to follow along with the process throughout the whole growing season, throughout its whole growing season. All the way from seed clove to bulb harvested this summer. I forgot the fall part. Cloves in order to harvest them this summer in our all right. Hope that's good enough.